Now that we've read some data into a 12D model, we can take a look at some of the plan view operations. On each of the plan views, you'll notice that we have an individual set of menus or toolbar icons. Note that if I just minimize this, we have them both on plan view 1 and plan view 2. Anything we do using these menus or this icon only relates to the plan view from which you've taken these icons. So with this in mind, we're just going to go back into plan view 2 and we're going to use these plan view operations on plan view number 2. The first icon to look at is what's known as the menu icon. If we just click on that, we see a menu opens up, and the first item in the menu is the models. And if we walk right on that, you'll notice that we have a whole lot of operations relating to models. So for example, we can remove all the models, or we can add all the models. We can also push models to the back or to the front. So for example, if we had a raster image on here and it was the last model to be turned on, it would be placed over the top of all our strings. We wouldn't be able to see anything else. So we could push that raster image to the back. Also in the menu we have what's known as the settings menu, and in here controls how things will look inside of this plan view. So we'll come to this later on when we do some toggles, but we could control such things as how our triangulation looks, or our grid looks, or even our background color. The next icon on the menu is the plus button. The plus button simply turns models on. At the moment you'll notice that when we click on it we get an empty box, and that's because all our models are already turned on. If we click on the minus button instead, you'll notice we have a list of all our models, and we can simply highlight all of them by dragging our mouse over the top of it while holding down the left mouse button, or we can individually select different models using the control key on our keyboard. And then we click on select and those models are turned off. If I now go to the plus button, you'll see I can turn them back on. If I just zoom in here, to zoom in I'm just using the wheel button on my mouse. I'm just rotating it to zoom in and out. The fourth icon along allows me to zoom all. So it will fit whatever models I have turned on in this plan view into the size of my plan view. The next icon is the pan icon. If I click on this and hold down my left mouse button, it allows me to pan around. You'll notice that even when I release my left mouse button, down in the bottom left hand corner, it still says I'm in pan mode. To remove myself from pan mode, I either need to click on the right mouse button or click the escape key on the keyboard. An alternative method of panning around is to hold down the control key on your keyboard and press the middle mouse button or the wheel and move that around. Once again, you'll notice even after I release the mouse key and the control key, I'm still in the pan mode and I have to click on the right mouse button or the escape key to get out of that mode. Next we have the zoom window box, and this requires 3 mouse clicks. Firstly, we click the top left hand corner of the area we want to zoom into. Next we click on the bottom right hand corner of where we want to zoom into, and finally we click the plan view that we want to zoom into. So in this case we only have data on plan view number 2, so I'll pick plan view number 2 and you'll see we'll zoom in there. If I now go to Windows, Tile Vertical, so that both my plan views are showing, and I turn on just my boundary string, and then I say I want to zoom in this area here, but I want to show the data in this plan view number 2. I can simply click on the zoom window icon again, draw my box where I want to zoom, and then finally my destination view will be plan view number 2. Just to show that again, click once, click twice, click a third time. We probably don't need plan view number 2, so we can close that plan view down. We can then turn on all the data in plan view number 1, and maximize that view. Our next icon does the opposite of the zoom window, and it actually shrinks the window. So once again, draw a box and select our destination view. The next icon along is the zoom previous, and if I click on that, it'll take me to the previous zoom. And it simply toggles back and forth between those two views. The next icon is our toggle icon, or our toggle menu. If I click on that and I just move it across to the side here, we can use this menu to do things such as turn on our point ID. Now obviously it's a little bit hard to see when we're zoomed out this far, so I can zoom in nice and close. And I can use this in conjunction with my setting menus. If I go settings, point number IDs, click on that, I could then change the color to say yellow. I can change my text style and make it say italic. I can change the height to say 18, and I can even change the rotation if I wanted to, 90. And then when I hit set, you'll see all those changes are applied. And we could do the same thing or a similar thing with any other things. For example, our Z values. Once again, in our settings, we could go into Z values and make the appropriate changes here. Our toggle button also allows us to do things without triangulation. At the moment we have no triangulation, but if we did, we could turn on our contours, our tin edges, our flow diagrams, and a solid tin. We can also turn on things like our grid, which doesn't show up very well at the moment unless I turn off my point IDs and my Z values. And I could control how my grid looks like once again in my settings menu. The next icon is our Redraw menu, and clicking on that will simply refresh the plan view. And finally we have the plotting menu, and this will be discussed more later on, but it allows us to do quick plots or using a plot frame to create a plot with a title block, etc.